Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Why call the police if you can take everything into your own hands and teach the noisy neighbors a lesson? Maybe our OP acted a little childish, but there were no more problems with the neighbors. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Gardening for noisy neighbors. A few weeks ago, my new neighbors had a party on a Sunday night. Their back screen porch faces mine with about 40 yards separating the two. The HOA does not allow fences, so there's nothing but a few trees between us. They seem to get particularly loud at around 4:30 in the morning. No loud music, but about 8 of them laughing and trying to drunkenly talk over each other. I couldn't be bothered to get dressed and walked over there, so I flashed our patio light on and off several times, which did nothing more than get some laughter out of them. They carried on for at least another hour or so, at which point I finally got back to sleep. Though my poor wife had to work the next morning, I luckily had the Monday off. After having breakfast and getting dressed, I went out back, and at 9 a.m. on the dot, I fired up the weed whacker. After half an hour or so of weed whacking, I got out the chainsaw and chopped some branches off one of my trees. When I ran out of things to do with my noisy tools, I set up my Bluetooth tailgate speaker on the back porch and listened to music for the next few hours. My wife said I was being childish. It's been about a month and we haven't heard a peep out of them at night since. Just because it's childish, to some, doesn't mean it isn't effective. And our second story. Well, F you. I did exactly what you asked. I work as a teacher, and so does my spouse. We teach in the same district, and I've been working part-time for a few years since she makes enough for us to survive, and I've been studying to get a better degree. With the previous administration, I'd been told with my level of work, I was probably going to end up getting a full-time position. I was praised and had been working more, doing more extracurriculars on a volunteer basis, and helping other teachers. But then our principal had to leave because she got a significantly better job. In comes new guy. New guy's a classic "it's all about me" dude. He told me on the first day we really met that I needed to dress more professionally. I literally dressed the same as my other coworkers, but I smiled and said, okay, dressing up more than normal. He proceeded to continue to nitpick my performance and micromanage my classroom despite never having walked into it. I grew more and more frustrated, but kept my cool because what the F else am I gonna do? During this time, a friend of mine who's an assistant principal from another district gives me a call. Hey OP, you looking for a job? I was happy where I was at, not really looking to rock the boat, so I told him it was all good. He told me to stay in touch, calling every once in a while to check in. One day, the principal calls me into a meeting. I sit down expecting to be berated, and he just looks at me and says, so just want to let you know, if you're planning on looking for a full-time job, you should probably look elsewhere. I haven't talked to finance about this yet, but we just don't have the money. I thought after I got my degree I'd be able to teach full-time. I was a little shocked, especially since he apparently just made this decision all on his own. So I went home and told my spouse. We thought for a while, unsure about what to do next. We agreed it sucked. Next day, I get a call from a certain assistant principal. Hey OP, this is it. We're really going to be asking for applications now, so if you're interested, you should send in your resume. It's a full-time job with benefits. Hell yes. 3 weeks later, I walk in with my 2-week notice. What, you're leaving? This was mid-April now. Since it's the end of the school year, classes are over. Yes? Are you surprised? You told me to get a full-time job somewhere else. I am surprised. I had no idea you'd be able to get a new job so fast. Sounds like a terrible power play. Similar to, I did the calculations, but man, am I bad at math. And our last story. Karen threatened to burn the bank down. Some backstory. I'm a banker, but due to this whole COVID-19 situation, I work at a different location than my usual branch. I live in New York, and banking is still considered an essential service, so what my bank did was temporarily close the majority of the branches in my area, and those that are remaining open are open in 2 shifts. Team A, Monday through Wednesday, Team B, my team, Thursday through Saturday. Also, we now close at 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m., and the dress code, suit and tie, is no longer in force. Right now, I don't really do all my normal duties, so the majority of my day is just servicing clients, ordering new debit cards, help set up online banking, etc. We're also instructed to do servicing through appointment only, so people won't be sitting and waiting there. I also have to do traffic control. The teller line still gets pretty busy, and we can't have more than a couple of people inside the branch at any one time, so I ask them to wait outside online until it's their turn. Towards the end of the day, around 2:30, I step outside of the branch for a moment to take a few pulls off my vape. When a middle-aged woman walks past the line and enters the branch, I respectfully come up to her and tell her, "Ma'am, I apologize, but there's a line outside for those who are waiting to do a transaction." She just looks at me and walks away from me and sits herself down in my office. By my office, I mean my workstation, since I'm just at that branch temporary and only on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. But I've been working from that office for almost a month at this point, so let's just call it my office. I walk in after her and ask her what she needed help with. She just looks at me and tells me to leave. I explain that I work here and this is my office, or at least I tried to. She just gets up, comes up to the teller, and tells her that I'm harassing her because I think that she skipped the line. Makes a big thing out of it. The teller had my back and did confirm that I did work there, and that was my office. She was expecting to see the person who usually sits in that office, but he only works Monday through Wednesday now. I asked her again what she needed help with. Normally, I would explain the whole situation on how it's by appointment only now, but the tension was already high, and we're trained to de-escalate when we can, so I thought if it was something small, I can just quickly help her and not make things any worse. What happened next, I will never forget for the rest of my life. She sat down in my office and told me that she needed a new debit card. Sounds simple enough, right? Wrong. I asked her for her ID since we cannot change/add/order anything on behalf of the customer without verifying their identity. She said she left it at home and that I didn't need her ID since she's a regular customer. I apologized and said I can't do anything without ID. She then flipped out saying I don't know what I'm talking about, that she doesn't want to deal with me, etc. Bankers are allowed to help without ID if they had a consistent relationship with the customer for over a year, which the other guy probably did, so never asked for her ID. She then went on to scream on how I don't know who I'm dealing with and she has a lot of money here and she can have me fired. She demands that I do what she tells me. I'm a bit frustrated at this point, but I'm still at work, so I still acted professionally as best I could. I didn't want to get into it with her, and I just told her, I'm sorry, but my hands are tied. She walks out of my office, sits down on the chair outside, and starts waiting for another banker. I try to explain to her that he's busy with another customer and it's appointment only, but she won't let me get a word out. I pull that coworker out of that meeting with his client, and he reconfirms that she needs ID and couldn't wait there. She just stands up and walks out. Now, at the beginning of this story, I want to remind you that this all happened after 2:30 p.m. and we close at 3 p.m. By the time she stormed out, it was closer to 2:50 p.m. After she stormed out and my coworkers and tellers wrapped up, we spoke a bit about it and they told me she's always like that. Before we knew it, it was 3 p.m. and we began closing the branch, including rolling down the gate. At around 3:30 p.m., as the majority of my coworkers have finished their end-of-day procedures and have left, it was just me and a teller there finishing up. Next thing we know, Queen Karen is back, banging on the gate. She demands I open the gate. She got her ID and she needs a new debit card. I tell her I'm sorry, but the security system is on and I can't turn on the computers and open the gate. I tell her we're closed. She screams at me saying, "No, you idiot, you close at 5 p.m., it's only 3:30. I tell her we changed the hours of all open branches a month ago, and there's a sign in the door of the lobby and on the walls around where she's standing that show the new hours. I told her she can come in on Monday when the banker that knows her will be here, and she can get done anything she needs. She then goes on to curse my life out and then picks up one of the small metallic garbage cans and starts throwing it at the gate over and over while cursing and saying she's going to kill me and burn this whole place down. Guys, never do this in a bank. The security that even the smallest bank has is no joke. Next thing you know, the repeated throwing of the garbage can at the gate triggers our alarm, which puts the bank on lockdown and calls the police. The police arrive and our security team calls to advise us of the procedure. A security rep speaks to one of the cops and says that we have footage of this woman damaging bank property, trying to break in, threatening arson, and threatening the life of a bank employee. This woman, as mean and as crazy as she was, got arrested and in tears was put in the back of a police car, which I kind of felt bad about, but there are just some things a person should know not to do. Now, this lady was definitely crazy. I didn't want things to escalate this much, but it was out of my hands. I have no idea what happened to her after or what she was charged with or whatever. What I do know is that we had to remain in the branch until our bank security team arrived. I had to meet with HR over the phone and write an incident report, and it just goes on. I spent all day today with HR as well. I'm not in any trouble or anything since security footage backed up everything I said, but this lady was something else. She thought she was the queen of the world. F bank property and rules, and even the law she needed a new debit card, and that was worth getting arrested for. How self-centered someone must be to believe that even security controls made for their own protection don't apply to them? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.